It is January 2024, and we find ourselves at the start of another tax season. And in Holistiplan here, if I click Upload Return, look at that, 2023. So the system is now ready for you to upload 2023 tax returns. It's actually before the IRS is even accepting 2023 tax returns, but as of a few days from me recording this, the IRS will indeed accept 2023 returns. One thing I do every year is I just like to go through what are some of the major changes to the forms. And actually, there's hardly any this year. This is the lowest change year that we've experienced as far as the tax forms. But yeah, you can upload 2023 returns. The tax explainer, which is, for those of you who haven't seen that before, that's for premium subscribers. It's a way of like breaking out how the tax bill is calculated. That's not quite ready for 2023, very close, a couple weeks or something like that, and that'll be there. But that's the tax explainer. All right, so what changed in terms of the forms in 2023? I'll start with Form 1040. And, you know, I'm interested in this partly as a financial planner, like what are the new planning opportunities we should look for, or what's new information that wasn't there before from a financial planning perspective. I'm also interested in it from a design perspective. I mean, my job now is designing software, user interfaces. And when you think about the challenge the IRS has, this is a product that they have a certain design language that they've had for decades. They've got hundreds of millions of users who are used to things working a certain way. There's trillions of dollars at stake. So they have to be very thoughtful about their design. And, you know, we have opinions about the IRS's design, but they also are, their hands are kind of tied as far as how much they can change in a given year. So on 1040, I noticed, again, not a lot of changes. I noticed this is new, like you can actually do something other than a calendar year. You can do a partial year or a different year return. They move the filing status down, and I think they're really trying to highlight this more, I think. And this is new, by the way, married filing jointly, and here they put, even if only one had income. I just think they're trying to, I guess a lot of people are still making mistakes on their filing statuses. This field here where you can enter the name of the spouse if it's married separate, or the name of the child if it's head of household or qualified surviving spouse. That isn't new, but it's more prevalent. It's more easy to see. I'm betting the IRS has that field there, not less as far as checking, do you in fact have a dependent child or whatever. It's more like giving a hint that you really shouldn't be selecting head of household unless you have a child. You know, I think there's more to it than just like checking if there's a compliance reason. I think there's a design element to it as well. No other changes to 1040. I did notice this. I mean, y'all know this already, but it's not till you really look at it closely that you know. I mean, the standard deduction is now $27,700 for a married joint return. I mean, we're a year or two away from a $30,000 standard deduction, which, it's getting up there, really. All right, so no other changes on 1040. Schedule 1, no changes. So Schedule 1 is your other income and your above-the-line deductions. No changes to that form. Schedule 2, no changes. Schedule 3, which is your credits, did have some changes. A lot of new stuff related to I'll get to it, automobiles, but this is new. So before, in 2022, these two lines were not broken out. These two lines related to putting solar panels on your house and making energy efficient changes to your house. Those were just one line, and you had to refer to Form 5695 to get the details of which of the credits they were taking. That was really annoying for us because one of those two credits, the energy efficient home improvement credit, that one impacts the calculation of the child tax credit, while the other one apparently does not, as far as we can tell. And so you'd have this one blanket number in there, and then sometimes the child tax credit wouldn't match up, and we'd be like, what the heck's going on there? And we had to start reading in 5695. Now in 2023, they break it out. Thank you, IRS, for breaking that out. That's generally the trend we've seen over the years. Like 2018, they tried to go very compact with the tax return, and then every single year, they've added more lines. And you'll see it where like they'll do 1 or 2 years where they'll combine a couple things into one line, and inevitably, they're just like, the next year, they'll be like, forget it, let's break it into 2 lines. That's what they've done here. Good decision on the part of the IRS. A lot of changes related to like electric cars, plug-in hybrids, that sort of thing. So line 6E which now says reserved for future use. That used to be the alternative motor vehicle credit. We're kind of in this year where we're transitioning to different set of credits. But 6F, which used to be, got to check my notes here, the qualified plug-in motor vehicle credit, is now the clean vehicle credit. And now we have also line 6I, the qualified electric vehicle credit. And then we also have 6M, which is new. I actually think 6I wasn't new, but 6M is new, credit for previously owned clean vehicles. So that's a used clean vehicle. A lot of stuff changing around with auto. And I think this is an opportunity for the advisor because it's a good opportunity for a blast email. I see stuff like this when I see new things popping up that weren't there the year before. Great conversation opportunity for your client. So 2 blast emails that came to mind. Blast email number 1 to all your clients. Hey client, I don't know if you're considering doing any sort of home improvements or remodel in the year 2024, but if you are, just so you know, there are some credits available to you if you do things like change up your window insulation or home insulation. There's some credits available to you. And so, here's a couple bullet points on what to watch for. For more details, talk to me or your tax preparer. And that's super easy to write. 1 paragraph or a nice little infographic. You can send it once to all your clients. It's the sort of thing that they could pass on to a friend in conversation. Oh yeah, my advisor looks out for me on this stuff. Super easy one-time thing. Same for cars. Like, hey client, are you considering buying a car in 2024? Is that car maybe going to be electric or hybrid? Just so you know, there's a whole slew of changes to how the tax incentives work for those types of vehicles. Here's 4 bullet points on it. If you'd like to learn more, give me a call or talk to your tax preparer. Again, these are like write at one time and blast out to all your clients. And you never know where that email is going to go as far as some prospect who didn't know advisors looked at that sort of thing. And so that's the sort of thing we get just by looking over the tax returns, understanding better what goes into your tax bill. That's what tax planners are for. All right, that's Schedule 3. There was a little bit of stuff in Schedule 3 in line 13 related to, 2022 had some stuff related to qualified sick and family leave wages. Those fields are gone. I don't know if there's a lot of like planning opportunities around that, but that's a change. Moving on to Schedule A. So no changes to the form. But here's something that's important to highlight, I think. I'm going to zoom in here. One thing that did not change, and we knew it wouldn't change, but I'm just highlighting it, is the $10,000 cap on state and local tax is still $10,000. So I just pointed out earlier, the standard deduction keeps on ratcheting up, but this cap stays where it is. And so that means the one part of our itemized deductions that we really have control over, which is charity, the planning around charity has to do more heavy lifting now because the difference between itemized and standard is growing, or rather, you know what I'm saying, like the amount to hit the threshold where you would itemize is growing. But the only way you can really fill it in is with charity. And so donor advised fund conversations get more interesting year after year. Also, qualified charitable distribution conversations get more interesting year after year. In that case, you're taking a client away from itemizing deductions, whereas a donor advised fund, you're lumping charity to create itemized deductions. So that's just going to get more and more of a useful topic to talk about with your clients as time goes on. And the disparity between that fixed $10,000 state and local tax deduction and the variable index to inflation standard deduction, as long as that disparity keeps growing. So that's Schedule A. Schedules B, C, D, and E, no changes. As much as I would love to see changes, especially to Schedule E, which, let's face it, is not the most intuitive form in the packet of forms that make up a tax return. Schedule SE had a change. I kind of zoomed out here, but it's purely cosmetic. They moved it to a 2-page form. It's all the same fields. They just probably made the font bigger and made it 2 pages long. I wonder if the IRS has like certain maximums of characters that they want to put on a given page. It just becomes too unreadable. So I think it was a good call. Kudos to them for just giving more space so there's less visually going on when we look at that form. It's kind of a scary form. Form 8606. This is a form that advisors are used to looking at. No actual changes to the content, but again, this is one that had well, let me zoom out again. Sorry, I was zooming in, but this is one that had a cosmetic change. So I'll pull up 2022. 2022 Form 8606 has like this 1, 2, even 3 column layout, whereas 2023 they've kind of consolidated that more. It's just barely 2 columns now. So as far as I can tell, all the same fields and language and all that stuff. It just looks a little different for those of you who've been looking at that for years. Speaking of looking at it for years, Form 8606, I've looked at a lot of Form 8606s in my day because that's the one that sometimes tax preparers leave off the return, but we want it on there because it's how you track and put on the record that there's after-tax basis in an IRA, and that's how you record when a Roth is happening, that sort of thing. And you'll sometimes see a return where they don't put the 8606 on there when they need to. What I didn't realize is you could, I guess, do the opposite. Look at this. I didn't realize there was a signature section on Form 8606. So you could actually file Form 8606 independently of the tax return. I've never seen that in practice, but that signature line is there. In fact, I went all the way back to the year 2000, and the signature line it's always been there. I've just never really seen that it was there. I've never had a case where I had a client just give me the Form 8606 without the tax return, but you can do it. I'm sure there's other, that's the tour. I'm not going to take you through any other forms. I'm sure there's other forms that are kind of more obscure, but the ones that the financial planner looks at, a tax planner looks at, no major changes in 2023. It's largely stabilized, which I think is a good thing. Maybe they're gearing up for a busy year once the potential sunset does or doesn't happen a few years from now. But it looks like we've kind of stabilized around a consistent design for the tax return. But every year there's a couple things that bubble up to the surface, the home improvement type stuff around energy efficiency, and then all the stuff related to clean, energy efficient cars. That's new, and I think creates some planning opportunities for the advisor who's ready to kind of put together some materials for their clients. All right, good luck to y'all. Happy 2024 tax season. We'll be with you the whole way through, including in May when it's time to start reviewing these things when they're all done. All right, good luck.